And then I didn't hear from Wicked for a year. I had an interview. I was about to quit the business. And then they called and said, would you be interested in dance captaining the first national tour? I wasn't white enough and I wasn't not white enough. So I really had a very difficult time booking work. Do it scared. I was too scared to do it scared. I would have done it scared.
You guys, today's guest went from Disney World to Broadway swing to dance captain of the first national tour of Wicked and almost quit 5 times getting there. In this episode, we get into the casting rejection that had nothing to do with her dancing, the year Wicked ghosted her, what it's like to choreograph and direct alongside your husband, and the 2 rules she tells every single one of her students. This one is truly gonna hit whether you're a performer or not, so make sure you follow the show so you don't miss what's coming, and if it resonates, send it to someone who needs to hear it. That's how we keep growing the show. Now let's get into it. You guys, I'm here with Shanna Vanderwerker, who spent years in the room from Broadway to national tours to Disney World before she started building the room for everyone else. She was a swing in the original Broadway show of Wicked, then served as your face. You're like, what? Dance captain of the national tour.
Dance captain for the first national tour.
Yes.
And I swung the Broadway company as well.
Yeah, but not the original. Or was it
No,
the
I was
original?
not original Broadway company.
Okay, that's where I was like, wait.
Yeah, I went in, I think I went in, oh God, I'm so old. I went in after their first year and a half. Yeah.
Matters, but like that's why I was like, that
So
doesn't seem right to me, but I just wrote it down anyways. Okay, so she was started as a swing in the Broadway show of Wicked and then served as dance captain of the first national tour for nearly 5 years. She's earned a Jeff nomination for her choreography and was named one of the fierce women behind the table in Chicago theater. She went from almost quitting multiple times to now educating the next generation at Roosevelt University and at Visceral, all of the things. So Shanna, welcome to Kicking It Real.
thanks for having me. Yay.
I have to like start also. I waited till we were recording. I used to take your class all the time. Not all the time. I like hid in the back when I was in Chicago because I was like, you were like the only person that would that taught in heels, I feel,
Mm-hmm.
back
Yeah.
in the day. So I was like, I gotta go take her class. And like everyone, it was such a great environment. Like everyone was friends, everyone was so kind. So full circle moment for
Thanks.
me. But we're gonna just warm it
Yay.
up with what you are kicking it with lately.
Okay, I've been thinking about this since you gave me my homework assignment, and I've really been kicking it with I I love to read romantasy. My friend calls it
Mm.
fairy porn, but the Court of Thorn and Roses series, the Iron Flame series. I'm digging deep into that. My friend pulls up the book talk, and we're deep into all these other random series.
I love it.
So I
Are
love
you a
that.
reader? Like in
I do
general,
love
do you
to
read a
read.
lot?
I do.
I'm
It has
trying.
to be fiction.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
I'm really, okay. I'm quote trying to get into reading. I should like actively try a little harder and like actually open a book. But that's so interesting because I feel like I like sometimes I fall asleep when I read. But maybe that's the point too. Like you can like read it before bed and fall asleep because you get so relaxed. So if you have book
Yes.
recs, maybe just send them to me after
Yes.
this.
Ooh, and I will say, so that everybody can listen, The Women by Kristen Hanna. My neighbor gave it to me, and I read it. It's not romantasy at all. It's like actual fiction.
Just regular fiction.
It's just regular fiction, and it is so beautiful. I read it on my week-long spring break. I read it in a week, and it was so beautifully written that afterwards I was just like emotionally affected and so sad it was over. And that's when I know a book is good, is when I'm sad it's over.
Yes. I Even though I'm contradicting myself, I have read multiple books in my lifetime. I just have to get back into it. But that's the same thing when when you're like, no, like I need to know what keeps happening. Yes. Okay, good book.
Yep.
Everyone go listen to that book. What are you kicking to the curb?
Kicking to the curb. I was trying to figure out the best way to phrase this. Not having boundaries. Like um, kind of as we were talking pre-record, um, I try to do as much as I can for whomever, the work, the people, the students, whatever. And I'm really trying to honor where my level of function stops.
Yeah.
And honor the
It's
boundaries. Yeah.
it's
I'm
a fine
46.
line.
I'm finally accepting the fact that I should have them.
You're like, "Wait, I don't have to, like, people please everyone anymore?" Like, this is a crazy time. It's ho
Yeah.
but I also think it's a little people pleasing and a little, like, you just wanna do it. At least I just wanna do everything. Like, I can keep pushing myself, I can keep doing more, but then it's like, yeah, then you burn out and,
Yes.
you're not serving anyone. But
Yes.
we're gonna go back, like, all the way, so we can all hear your amazing story. But you grew up in Maryland and
Mhm.
maybe wasn't, like, the most theater-centric place. So walk us through your younger years of training and what that was like growing up to when you realized that you could make a career out of it.
Sure. Let's see. My mom put me in ballet class at 3 years old, at Fran's Studio of Dance with Fran Peters in Fort Washington, Maryland, just this little, like, tucked away thing in a little shopping center in 1982. So, picture the '80s, picture Stranger Things.
Stranger Wait, that's good. I could never get into Stranger Things. I gotta look it up. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, picture Stranger Things, that is, when I grew up, and ballet, I mean, it was, baby ballet, but there wasn't Mommy and Me back then. It was, "Here's my kid, see you in an hour." Um, and then I said, "Mommy, I wanna do tap the next year," and she's like, "Okay." And then the next year I wanted to do jazz, and, I kept doing it, and Fran had a competitive dance team, in the '80s, and I grew up mine was more in the '90s, but and she asked me to audition when I was 8. I was terrible, by
No
the way.
way.
I was
No
really bad,
way.
and it's okay. I embrace it because, we can't all just, like, pop out twirling circles. And I love that Fran, way back then, when I was a little squirt, she was very, um, she wanted her dancers to be very well-rounded. So we were doing the ballet, the tap, the jazz. She would scream at us in the most loving way. If you can't walk, you can't dance. So she put us in heels at 12, and we spent a half hour across the floor walking.
My worst nightmare.
Not with those gams. Uh, but and she was very, very focused on creating our musicality. I had no musicality up until I was about 12 years old. And I think it's because I'm a Virgo, and I'm very
I love
type
astrology.
A. And I don't really know a whole lot about it. I just know that
Me
everything
either.
has to be just so, and I have to be really good at it, and if I'm not, then I'm not doing it. And dance was the one thing that I was like, "Well, I'm not quite really good, but I wanna keep doing it." And I
I
would
could be good.
yeah, and like, I loved I don't know, I don't even remember because it was so long ago, like, I don't remember why I wanted to keep doing that one in particular, and I was an overthinker. Which is funny because I had this conversation with a lot of my students this past week of feeling, not thinking, because
Mm,
they're all really strong, and they're all brilliant. Like, they're brilliant young women, and they get so stuck in their brains and
yeah.
feeling the music. Which is funny that I had to take that journey. Um, and
Which
I
is why you can
remember
teach on it now,
I guess so. I guess
right?
so. And my mom would play AMC movie classics, and when I was probably, like, 9, I saw Singin' in the Rain, and I was like, "I want to be Sid Charisse.
You knew right
I must
then.
I must be Sid Charisse," and I did get to play Lady in Green in 2016, so
That was gonna be my next question. We love a full circle.
yeah, but I couldn't stop watching any movie with Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire, Sid Charisse, Debbie Reynolds, like, Vera Ellen, ugh. She just was I wore out the VHS of White Christmas. Like, I
Ugh,
fried it out because
you're
it
like, "I need
was
a new one."
I
Multiple
know, I need the
copies.
DVD. We got to the DVD, and now you can stream it, thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. I love that, and so, I feel like it was, like, very destined almost, like, I don't know, it was, like, in you, which I think is why you're probably so successful and, like, where you are now, which is so cool. So you did that,
Thanks.
though. So you had that going on, fell in love with it. When you went to college, you chose Point Park, you wanted to dance. At this point, did you still think you were bad? Or what was that transition process like?
No, I knew that I knew that I was good at it when I knew it was something that I could be good at when I was, like, 13, 14. I was still not amazing like the 13, 14-year-olds feel like they need to be now,
Yeah,
but it started to click, and it started to become this thing that, like, "Oh, I can study this? Oh, I can go to school for it?" And I was it was, like, wild, and I was at a Catholic high school, which is a whole other that's a whole other
I would love to hear about that maybe
encyclopedia.
another time, yeah.
And my mom, I have 2 older sisters, and my mom's like, "You're going to college." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm going straight to New York." And she's like, "Oh,
Mm,
no, you're going to college." And we had, a woman that I grew up with who had been a Rockette, and she was like I looked up to her a lot, and she said, "A lot of the girls on the line went to Point Park." And I was like, "Great, that's the only school I'm gonna apply to. That's what I'm gonna do." Mostly because I was too
perfect.
chicken to apply to Juilliard. I was really chicken to do that. And, Oklahoma City was definitely one of the elite programs in the '90s, but I knew, even though I had my own body issues and my own messed up relationship with food, I knew that that would not be a safe place for me. Um,
Isn't
so
that
Point Park
crazy?
had
Yeah,
Yes. Point
because
Park
I've
had
had
already
people
done
on
away with
yeah.
weigh-ins
Oh,
by
they
the
were ahead of their time.
Yeah, they had done
Look at
away with
that.
weigh-ins by the time I got there in '97. So, I was like, "Well, I guess that's where I'm going."
I
And
mean, yeah, I was,
yeah,
like, similar too with college where it, like, kind of feels overwhelming a little bit when you're trying to pick a school, so I was like, everyone who I danced with, like, my dance teacher went to Western Michigan, so I was like, "Alright, here I go." Like, I didn't really even look much further or do my own research because I'm like, "Okay, well, I look up to you and you're awesome, so, like, I'm gonna go." So I can relate to that for sure. Do you
yeah.
feel like not that you need to change anything of your past, but do you think it would have been more beneficial to research other places if someone was looking to dance now in college?
If someone's looking to dance now, absolutely do the research. There are so many more programs now than there were in the '90s when I was looking at schools. Like, Arizona State wasn't even on the radar when I was going to school, when I was looking at schools. It wasn't even but also you couldn't I joke, but, like, there was no internet when I was looking at colleges.
You have an
So it
excuse for not researching further then. See,
right?
like, now we don't have an excuse.
Yeah, like, I couldn't get on the internet and Google college dance programs. I had to, like, get articles and that kinda stuff and hear it word of mouth. So,
Yeah,
um, I think that and I also think and this is something that I tell younger people when I do coach them, like, don't just look at the name, right? Like, when I'm looking at resumes behind the table, I look at the school names, but I look at the faculty and I look at, like, "Oh, who did you train with?" Right? Or who and I look at the person in front of me. The paper just kind of supports it, I guess, but
yeah,
don't go to a school just because it's one of the Big 10, right? Don't because like, "Oh, well, I have to go to Carnegie Mellon if I wanna do the thing." No,
yeah,
no, you don't. There are so many different options now. Um, I tell people to look at the faculty and look at the adjunct faculty because those are the ones that are like boots on the ground.
yeah. And do you feel like from a hiring behind the table point of view, would you rather someone be a really good dancer and not maybe not know you personally the people on their resume or vice versa because maybe, it's a huge dance world and I would think that, hey, I don't really know these people on your resume, but what I see in front of me is awesome. And maybe it's because that person did their research and they knew who those people were and they were the types of people they knew they needed to be training under. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think it's the person you are the package, right? And whoever trained you, if you are awesome, great,
You're
right?
like, I don't really care who trained you. Yeah.
Don't care. Are you strong? Are you technically strong? Are you dynamic? Are you exciting to watch? Are you engaging? If you can answer yes to those questions, I don't care who put you in front of me because there are a lot of
hmm
people that could have my name on their resume and they get in front of hundreds of people and they're like, "Who's this person?" Like, no, I don't know who I am. You know, who's this
Maybe, or
Vago? I
everyone
don't know.
will.
But you know what I mean?
Well,
Like, it's
yeah.
not you have to be the best version of you, and that's really all you have control over. And whoever contributed to that, send them a thank you card.
Yeah, for real. Yep. So everyone do your research on your schools to sum that up.
Yes.
But I won't I know it's I know it's so long ago for you. I'm just kidding. But when you were after college, did you have a dream company, a dream role, a dream show, or did you just start auditioning? What was your plan and what did that look like in action after college?
Yeah. So I knew nothing about concert dance until I got to Plain Park. And then I was like, oh, wow, you can literally just dance? Neat. Because I
Wow.
didn't love singing. I still don't really love singing. I do it because I've had to, but it was never something that I was like, sign me up. I love it so much. And voice lessons were very, um, very hard work for me and my
when did
voice teacher. Bless them
when did you
all.
start? Yeah. Oh, I took like
um,
2 voice lessons and I was like, "Yeah, I feel like that's enough." Ugh.
Voice lessons when I was a kid because my dance teacher Fran, she had a lot of people that she was feeding to musical theater, Broadway, cruise ships, all kinds of things. And she was like, if you all want to do this, you need to sing. And my piano teacher at the time also taught voice lessons. And so I would have a half-hour piano lesson and a half-hour voice lesson. And I was such a chicken. I was like, "Oh, this is Ro. I don't think I can sing." So I'd play the piano for an hour.
You're like, "Oh, I can't." Did you, like because I remember the few I took as a kid, and I was like I would sing so quiet, and they'd be like, "Come on, like, let me hear you, like, loud," and I would just be so quiet. I don't know, something about it is very vulnerable when you're
It's so
very much a perfectionist in
vulnerable.
that. Yeah. You're like, "I'm not good
Yes.
at this."
And I still can't put words to why it feels so raw when using my body and to tell a story is just so easy, and I can talk for days, but you ask me to sing, I'm just like, I don't
You're
I
like,
don't
"I
know,
can't do it."
it's so
Yeah, obvious
weird.
I mean, but obviously you can, but I know what you mean
Yeah,
of
but
it's like the mental of it. Okay, so I cut you
yeah.
off also. So
No, it's
you
okay.
were
So I
singing and yeah.
Yes, and so as a dance major, I knew that theater was my end goal, so I was able to take voice lessons as an elective credit in college. Um, so I took them every semester. The first 2 semesters, I had to do vocal juries. I think I did
Oh,
3
what's
semesters of
that?
vocal juries, actually, and it's awful. It's the
It doesn't
worst.
sound fun.
If you don't like singing, it's possibly one of the most traumatic things you could go through. But I guess it's good for you if you wanna do this thing.
I was gonna say it
Um,
probably really prepared you.
yes. Oh my god. I you have to so you spend, your whole semester working with your voice teacher, and then I don't know actually how Roosevelt does them because I don't sit in on them because 'cause they're for the voice faculty, but, at Point Park in the '90s, I don't know if they still do it this way, you got assigned, like, a time block, and everybody in that time block sat in the auditorium, the little theater auditorium, and everyone sat there, and you got up and you sang your song in front of everyone in that session and all of the voice faculty.
For what? Oh.
I was in there with, like, music theater majors and voice majors, and I got up there and was like, "My name is Shanna, and I am a freshman dance major. Thank you."
Well, because they say it's like it's worse in front of your peers, let alone when it's not your strong suit and it's like other people's strong suit to then be like,
Yeah.
here I am at an age that is like one of the hardest ages of like trying to figure out who you are as a human. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, you
Yes.
were prepped though. So you got out of college and you're like, I can do that. I can sing at an audition.
I guess so, but I auditioned for Pittsburgh CLO. This was when I was still in school, and again, I don't know how they do it, but the entire it I don't know if you've ever been to Pittsburgh CLO or their auditions, but it's very much their audition was very much the size of, like, the Radio City big studio, and so you're in there, and the table, it was, like, I don't know, 18 people long because it was the creative teams for every single show of that season. And it was a great season for me. It's Crazy for You, West Side Story, and there were a couple other things that I would have been really great for. And we had danced for 2 days, 2 days straight, and then I go in to sing my song, and it was like dominoes. Maybe it's more dramatic in my brain now, but it feels
Probably.
like this. It was like dominoes down they were all like, "So excited," and then down the road, they were like, "Ugh," and everyone scratched my name off of the sheet. I was like, "Cool. Cool, bro."
You're like, not you being able to see that. That's just cruel.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's been a relationship journey with my
Trying
with
to
my voice. Yeah. We got there.
I mean, we got there. Your
We
first
got
job
there.
though was Disney World, correct? With it was,
Mhm, mhm.
at Disney. So what how did you get that then? Did you sing at that one?
No, but that's a funny little side story too, because so in the olden timey days, Disney would come to would come to Point Park because it was such a mine, a talent mine. Disney, Royal Caribbean, and Busch Gardens would all come to Point Park during our school semester, and we would have I mean, they, opened it up to anybody that was in the Pittsburgh area, but it was at our school. Um, and I auditioned for Disney there, and I got the job. I think I auditioned for them 3 times before I booked it. It was not an immediate thing. And, um, when I got down there, it was Kids of the Kingdom, which was in front of the castle, and they came out with these, like, microphones, and they were moving their mouths, and I was like, I did not sing for this job." We were tracked, we were lip syncing the whole thing,
Ooh. You're
but
like, "Thank
I,
God."
panicked because there were some tracks that looked like they had vocal solos, and I was assigned to one of those tracks, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get fired before I even start because I did not sing for this."
You're like, "You guys, you forgot to watch me sing."
Yeah, so we were totally tracked, lip synced, the microphones were made of wood, they were yeah, they were wood things with styrofoam on top.
That's so fun. How long did you do that job for?
I did it for the summer, between my 2nd and 3rd year. I graduated college in 3 years, so,
Same.
yes, get those credits done.
Get it done.
In hindsight, I'm like, I could have done another year studying," but life
Yeah,
is what it is.
you have to keep going. You have to keep moving forward and do
Yeah.
what's next. I feel that. Did you move straight to New York out of college?
I didn't. I moved back down to Florida, and I did another contract at Disney.
Okay.
So I did the summer of '99, and then I went back, for the summer of 2000 and left in February of '01, and that's when I moved to New York.
I love. And did you move to New York before you had work, or did you already book something when you moved?
I moved to New York, totally unemployed, and I was
Same.
unemployed for a full year before I booked anything. I my boyfriend at the time, who, is still one of my very good friends, he's, swing in Chicago on Broadway now. He's done, like,
Nice.
gazillion Broadway shows. But
Love.
he was like, "Shanna, we're moving because we will stay here." Like, Disney is an amazing job, especially when you're 21 years old. You've got
Yeah.
Disney health insurance, which has always been the best. You're getting a great paycheck. You're I was union. I got my union card down there. Like,
That's awesome.
yeah, so it was a really great gig, really easy to get stuck, and he's like, "We're not getting stuck, we're gonna go." And he said, "And I wanna dance for David Parsons," and I was like, "Okay." So we went, and he was in David Parsons' company within, like, a month of moving up there, but
Of course, that's how it goes
yeah,
sometimes for the lovely
yes,
men.
for the men.
You if I correct me if I'm wrong, your first job was for Dre Dance Company in New York?
No, it
Dang
wasn't.
it. Dang it.
It's
Correct me.
okay, it's okay. My my first job that I booked out of New York City was a little regional tour of Wizard of Oz.
That's so cute. It's not
Yeah.
cute, but, I don't
No,
know,
but it
I just love
is.
that show. Like, I don't know,
It
it's such a good,
is.
wholesome show.
It is, and it was a super manageable show to figure out, all of the things, and the choreographer of that show knew me as a little kid dancing in Maryland, and
I
see, this
stand
is
corrected,
why
Maryland is not a small place for that, alright.
but this is why, you never know where things are gonna take you and you never know. I tell people all the time, "Don't be a dick," because you never know. And so Paula knew me as a little kid, and she was married into this family called the Klopsic family, and they have a regional theater in Wisconsin called the Fireside. And after Wizard of Oz, Paula and the director of Wizard of Oz, who was Phil McKinley, they did a Christmas show at the Fireside every year, and they said, "Shanna, we want you to come do the Christmas show at the Fireside." And so I did that, and the Fireside is the place where I got my choreography debut. I've choreographed like 15 shows for the Fireside. I've been in 3 or 4 shows there. I don't even remember now, but like that little connection, that little moment is really why I'm on the path that I'm on right now.
People don't realize too, is like, only takes one thing, and that kinda starts the momentum, and then it, takes off for more reasons than one, obviously, confidence and just connections and resume building in general, which is so I love that, "Don't be a dick." That's genius. I don't think it's just so you can't really, misconstrue what that is. So, just, I mean, I tell people that all the time too. It's just such a small world. You just I and I think nowadays too, I see it more and more where people are like, "We don't wanna work with not good people." It's just difficult, and it's not a job that really pays enough to work with bad people most of the time, you know?
Correct.
So, which
Correct.
is
Yeah.
which we'll get into that, but when you were
Yep.
auditioning, did when you, were auditioning and doing things, did you have an agent? What did the audition process for Wicked look like, and were there other things in the meantime that you kinda didn't get in that rejection process?
Oh god, so much rejection.
Mm,
Um,
love but
I
hate to see it.
yeah, yeah. So, okay. So when I moved to New York, I also ran into Lorianne Ferrari, who now lives in France and is awesome. She also did a gazillion Broadway shows. She is someone I met through dance competitions in the 90s. Lorianne and my sister were pen pals, like writing letters to each other.
I know what pen pals are. Well, maybe people listening don't, but I'm like,
Listeners might not, but like you write like you would although I hear it's very in to like get retro and write a letter to people.
love writing letters to people. If anyone listening wants me to be their pen pal, hit me up after this because I love that. Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
So I ran into her on the street. She's like, "Oh my god, you live here now?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so she said, "Okay, great. So, I'm doing this little instructional video." She used to do them for Bob Rizzo. He would produce these instruction videos through the 90s, and she grew up doing them. And she's like, "Okay, so I'm doing this one for this new choreographer, Christopher Gattelli." And I was like, "Okay." And I knew who he was when he was Mr. Dance of America in 1990. And she's like, "So come." And I
So
did it
cool.
for a leotard, a pair of character shoes, and I think a $50 stipend. And I'm in this studio and I stand up from stretching and Chris is like, "Oh, I know you." And I was like, "Nope, I literally just moved here a month ago." And he's like, "Nope, Miss Dance, 1996." He named my song. He talked about my costume. He said, "I watched you from the back of the ballroom and you were beautiful." And I was like, "That was my sister." He's like, "Nope." And he kept going on about my dance. And
My goosebumps.
from that moment, he became like my big brother. And yeah, so he would like have me assist him on all of the Broadway Cares opening numbers that we did, um, the little things that he would get here and there. And I'm getting back to your original question about auditioning. So
It's okay.
and about the
We could take
agent.
this wherever we wanna go. Well, I have questions about him as well if you wanted to pivot real quick because I wanted you to explain who I guarantee there are maybe not in a bad way, there are probably some people listening that don't really understand who he is. If you wanna give a brief overview. Like my mom listening,
Sure.
she doesn't know, you know?
Well, he just got nominated for another Tony Award for directing and choreographing Schmigadoon. But he started out, I mean, I don't wanna get his bio totally wrong because he is, like, my big brother and, sometimes you have this, like, sibling sort of memory of things, but
Yeah,
he
like
was on
Morse.
Star Search when he was a little kid and Mr. Dance of America, and was Mr. Mistopheles in Cats on Broadway. He was in when I met him as an adult, he was in Fosse on Broadway, and he was choreographing stuff for the Rosie O'Donnell show. And he was very good friends with Seth Rudetsky. And, he's honestly one of the like, the kindest people, and he taught me so much about surviving just as a human through this, and he taught me, as a choreographer, he taught me, like, keep it simple, and also if you're doing comedy, he's like, "When you're playing, just, like, nothing is so stupid," and in all seriousness, he taught me that knows, like, just keep throwing stuff out, and when I'm pre-proing, and especially when I have pre-pro with younger artists that are just getting going and they're so afraid to be wrong, I'm like, "No, what you toss at me, it might be a no, but that no will become a yes. Like, it will send me in
Mhm.
a direction that I didn't know I was going to go." And that's something that he taught me was just like, just throw everything at the wall.
Do you think that there's a level of, like, attachment to no's in that way? And maybe I don't know if you felt that he taught you that a little bit too. I feel like so many people are afraid of the rejection of it, and they take it so personally when it's like you said, like, it's not about it being good or bad or judging it, it's just like, just be free. It's not about you. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think that I definitely when I remember that, I remember his voice saying that to me, and, in when I was in Wicked I got Wicked through, um, open auditions, well, the equity chorus calls. I did not have an agent, um, before I booked Wicked. I was going to these chorus calls, and I had been in for Aida several times, and what I loved about auditioning for Wayne is that he did not look at your resume the first cut. He didn't care where you could have come from Mars, he did not care. What he cared about was how you danced it and what you brought to the space, and the first cut would always be like, "Okay, you, thank you. You, see you next time." And then the next cut, he would then see your resume
Mhm.
and put your face to that. So he knew, and I was going in a lot for him and his stuff, and I went in for Wicked. I actually missed the first rounds of Broadway stuff because I was at the Fireside doing a show. Um, and I was like, "Wicked, what is this?" I don't know. Um, Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Oh,
didn't
wow.
because before that, Wayne I think the thing that Wayne had done before that was the How to Succeed revival with Matthew Broderick and Tommy were his big things before that. So I was like, I mean, he was a fussy guy, I don't know. Um,
And so I also, because like, just to see where Wicked is now today, can you, like, I'm sure people listening, like, you can't even imagine a world where you're like, wait, what is this? Like, okay, fine, I'll go.
exactly. Exactly. You can't
Yeah.
it, it it's just it's so wild. And back then, you going to those equity chorus calls, it got you in front of them so much that like I was called in for Hairspray, I was called in for Wicked and all of these different things because of the time that I had put in myself. Um and then I got into the show through we can also take a side path for that later, but I got into the show, I eventually got into the show and I was meeting with Chris, we were working on a project and I was like in and out of Wicked a lot. I was always being brought in on Broadway as an emergency cover and it was before they had actual vacation swings on their roster and universal swings on their roster. And it was I always had a start and end date. And then there would be like I didn't know when I was going back. And so I was in a period where I didn't know when I was going back. And I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. Do I need an agent? And Chris said, it's like, look at all of the work you've done on your own. I said, for theater, keep doing what you're doing. Everything you're doing is right. Um, for commercial stuff, you would need an agent. So I did get an agent. Every time I had an agent, I think I went through 3 different agents. And I would get the agent, they would send me to, like, 4 things, and then they would drop me, and then Wicked would call me. So they never got my Wicked money.
The toxic cycle. I mean, honestly, at least they never got your Wicked money, which
They never got my
we
Wicked money,
love.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love that for you. Well, I feel like a lot of people are gonna be very, relieved to hear that because, it's a weird. I know it's maybe things are different now, and I haven't personally been in, like, the Broadway auditioning scene, but I know it's hard to kinda get an agent nowadays too for a lot of people, so it can definitely be done without one.
Yeah, and I tell people here in Chicago, if they're interested in just theater, they also don't need an agent because the theaters will see them, and
Mhm.
the the pay is not I don't think the pay is great enough for you to have to give 15% to an agent to negotiate you a hotel room during tech. Or, you know, can this actor, they really need to have this weekend off for a wedding. Just advocate for yourself and keep that 15% because
It's not a
taxes
small
are
amount, like,
coming for us.
I was gonna say 15% is a healthy chunk, like, very
Yes.
healthy. It just feels like a small number, but my husband's in finance, and I know 15%, that's a big that's a big chunk. It's a big chunk. So just
Yeah.
things to think about. I mean, definitely pros and cons in that way, but I do wanna circle back, like you said, to the audition, and did you feel like the audition that you booked Wicked from was different? Like, did you feel like you performed differently, or did you have a feeling, or was it just like, "Yeah, I just did it, and it happened to work out"?
Hmm. So I
I
was
feel a story
brought
coming on.
Oh, there's a story. There's always a story, Gabby. I was brought in when they were doing auditions for the first national tour. And they were doing a huge call because at the same time they were doing the first national tour, Wayne was getting ready to do Sweet Charity on Broadway. So he had his core dancers that um half of them were staying in Wicked and half of them were going to go do Sweet Charity. So they were replacing a big amount of dancers for Broadway and creating the cast for first national tour. So I go in for that and we're there all day and we did some monkey choreography that I never once saw in my 6 years with that company. And,
Why are we doing this?
oh my
Oh.
gosh, it was wild but it was so exciting at the same time. Like it felt I was like, "What are we doing? I don't understand. Like, my wing is growing out of my back," and never did that. I pulled a lever and my wings shot out my back. Like,
No, you're like,
so
and it was magic.
yes. But we were there all day. I sang my song, and a week later, I think they called and they said, "Not this time." And I was like, "Cool." And then a bird pooped on me. I'm just saying.
Like, really, like, that's not a
Like,
metaphor.
literally, I was sitting in a park in New York City, and they were like, "Not this time." And I said, "Okay, well, what do I need to work on for it to be the time?" Because I hadn't worked in over a year. Was getting a lot of no's. We can circle back to a lot of my no's and what I tell my students because it had a lot to do with what I look like. Um, and I was like, "I don't what am I doing? What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing here." And then a bird pooped on me. I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing."
Like, it's definitely one of those things where, like, you just have to laugh looking back on it now, but in the
Yep.
moment, like, maybe cry, like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I definitely
Yeah,
cried.
yeah,
And
that would
then I had to release it. And then that was like, I think it was in October. And then in January, I was working at my survival job, which was at a magazine office. I worked for Dance Spirit Magazine Publishing.
oh,
Um,
fun.
and I got a call and they said, "Shanna, can you come in and try on clothes?" And I was like, "Okay." And
You're like, "Am I
the
being gaslit right now?"
I was so confused. And then I went in and the woman that I was being brought in, there were 3 of us that were brought in for this moment. And the woman was like 5 foot nothing. I'm 5'4", 5'5" on a good day. I'm 5'4". She was 5 foot nothing. And everything fit in the width. And I was like putting on the clothes and pulling my arms up. And I'm like, "It totally fits." And bending my legs. And the wardrobe team was just like cracking up at me. And then after that, we had to go up to the rehearsal hall at the Gershwin and sing for Alex Lacamoire, who was Stephen Remus's replacement on Broadway. And I sang that Alex
Did you, like,
Lacamoire.
know I would say, did you I know from what we've already talked about, like, did you have any inkling that you would maybe have to sing, or were you like, "Yeah, I'm just trying on clothes"?
No, I knew that I was gonna have to sing.
Okay, I was gonna say because that would have really you would have had no time to freak out, I guess, though, if you didn't know. Just be like, "Here we
That's
go."
true. That's true. So I go upstairs and I sing my best 32 bars, which was "I Enjoy Being a Girl," which is not at all the style of Wicked, but that's what I sang. And Alex
Yeah.
was so kind and he said, "That was great, Shanna. Now, can you sing for me the solo at the top of Act Two?" Which, if you don't know, is like some terrible green blizzard throughout the land she flies. And it's belting an E flat because Kathy Deach is an incredible belter and she created that track.
And you're like, "Hello, I'm a dancer."
I was like, "Okay." And so something came out and I was like, "I'm so sorry. Can I try that again?" And I actually pushed, thinking my diaphragm was going to create the note. I pushed it out. It was terrible. But I made him laugh. And the other 2 women, I am sure, probably could belt that E flat. But this circles back to don't be a dick because the dance captain was Mark Myers, who knew me from competition days. The dressing room had Kristen Gorski, who was the other dance captain, who knew me, Lorianne Ferrari. Lorianne Ferrari was in that dressing room, as well as Asmaret Geber McKell, who knew me from competition days, and other women who knew me from like all of the various free things that I was doing in New York. And he goes down and he says to the women, "Okay, these are the 3 girls that are in the running. Who do you all like best?" And I was the person that if they didn't know me, they were like, "Well, I know the other 2 and I don't like them."
Tea.
So that's how, yeah. And I got it. I got the call and it was Martin Luther King Day. It was on a Monday. And I was like, "Well, I didn't hear from them all weekend. I'll be sad for a second because I know I'm so close and then I'll move on." And I was being sad and they called on Monday night and they said, "Can you be at the Gershwin tomorrow for rehearsal?" And I learned my first track in 4 days, and I was on stage that Friday night.
That is insane. Like,
Yeah,
that sounds like it is straight out of a movie, though.
yeah,
That is goosebumps again. If you can't see them, you definitely can't, but that is so cool, and also, yes, don't be a dick. Yes, like, that is incredible, and I wonder how much that goes on nowadays because, we've all interacted with maybe not the nicest people in life, but also in the industry, and I hope that helps people too. Like, sometimes it does pay to be the nice person, which is really
absolutely.
cool. Oh my god. Wait, well, okay, so from the emotions from that Tuesday then, what was that like to then, like, literally Friday, like, being on stage? Like, how where was your mental?
Well, honestly, we didn't really even then, like, that was 2005. It wasn't like, "Let's talk about how you're mentally feeling." It was like, "Do it." And so
You're
I
like,
did it,
"I was disassociating."
right? Like, I'm not gonna tell them no. And there was a blizzard that Friday night, and they're like, "Well, we might not do the show." And I was like, we are doing the show. I am doing this."
You're like,
And,
"Hello."
yeah, so I think it just all happened so fast, and then they would ask me, it was a partial track because she was the onstage swing, so it was like I had to learn the opening. I had to learn all of the music, the ensemble music. But I learned the opening, I learned the top of the courtyard, I learned the little flatheads in one short day, um, witch hunters, and the finale were what I needed to learn in those 4 days in addition to the entire ensemble music book. And, walk through the put-in, and then in my time there, they would say, "Oh, Shanna, can you come in a half hour before half hour? We need you to learn Lauren's monkey flight. We need you to learn Kathy's ballroom cross." And so I'm not gonna say no. So I was just like, "Okay, shove me up there and see what happens." Like,
What an adventure, though, for
yeah,
real. Did your
yeah.
parents get to come out and see you on that Friday or later?
They did not come to that one. My
Probably also would've their
sister,
flight would have been canceled anyway, or if they had a
that's
well, did you
true.
but, the
They would have
blizzard.
driven. They probably would
I
have
was gonna
driven from
ask.
Maryland. Yeah.
Still not safe, though, in a blizzard.
No. Nope. No, they didn't come to that. They came to, I don't remember the first time they saw me in it, but I was definitely in, there was a time where I was covering for, um, a woman for, it was 3-month chunks, and they definitely saw it multiple times that time. My sister was at Marymount Manhattan College at the time, and she came, was she in school still? No, she might have graduated already, but still lived there. And I don't know, she came in my first, like, couple months. She came
Oh,
to see me in it.
that's always the
Yeah.
best feeling when they're there too. What did the transition look like then from Broadway to tour, and how did that come to be?
It was another story time. I was
I'm ready.
in buckle in. I had I was in the one track that I was in for a long chunk, and they Shoshana Bean was singing Wizard and I, and stage management came to me and said, "Can you go to Denver tomorrow morning?" And I was like, "Do I have a choice?" And they said, "No, we need you to go to Denver." And I was like, "Okay." So I flew to Denver. I learned a completely different track in 4 hours, did it that weekend, and then they flew me back to New York, and I was back into the show in New York. So it was my first time with the first national tour. And, I was like, "What just happened?" And then, I came out to the Chicago company after I finished my time on Broadway. I came out to the Chicago company and helped them out for a couple weeks. And then I went home. And then I didn't hear from Wicked for a year.
Rude,
A whole year I did
rude.
not hear from them. And, then they called. I was about to quit the business. I had an interview with, my friend's marketing company. And right after that interview, Craig Burns called and said, "Shanna, would you be interested in dance captaining the first national tour?" And I said to him, "Are you calling the right person?" I literally said that. And he was like, "Yeah, how you doing?" And I was like, "I have not heard from you all
Yeah.
in a year.
I was like, you literally just ghosted me and now you're what?
Yeah, and
That's
they said,
what a lovely phone call.
right? But then he said, "Well, we have a couple other people that we're also reaching out to." And he said, "We're just getting your interest." And I said, "Okay, cool. Actually, I just had an interview to completely leave the business. So, can I let you know after the weekend?" And he said, "Sure." So I called him on Monday and he said, "Well, we're still hearing from other people." And I said, "Okay, awesome. If I'm and I think it was like to leave in like 2 weeks." Yeah, to replace the dance captain, which when I got there, it was so bizarre. But whatever. So, because she had given plenty of notice.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, but
so it was, "You're gonna go in 2 weeks forever." And I said, "Well, I have about 5 jobs right now to keep me afloat that I will have to get out of. So when will you have an answer?" Um, so yeah, so then I went in the spring of 2009 and never went back to New York.
went back. Did you not
Yeah.
have an apartment even? Where was your home base?
My home base was still New York, and my now husband joined the tour in the summer of '09, as a Bach cover and then eventually took over as Bach. But he also it wasn't because I was in the show. He had been in for for Bach for, a multitude of times. He had done Rent, High Fidelity, All Shook Up, all for Stephen Aramis. So, like, it wasn't, "Let me get my man on tour with me." It was timing.
Wait, okay, so you met him before tour.
Yes. Yeah.
When is that? How did okay, quick story. How'd you guys meet? Just because I love a love story.
We met with High Fidelity on Broadway. So when I was assisting Chris on that show,
Uh,
Justin was in it. Um, and he went to Carnegie Mellon while I was at Point Park. He's from Annapolis, Maryland, which is about an hour from where I grew up. His dance teacher knew my dance teacher. Yeah. It
s-
was
small world, small world.
there were all of these times where we were like this, and then it wasn't until Hi-Fi that we
Isn't that cool
actually
though when it's like
connected.
the whole you meet the right person at the right time, like that because you probably wouldn't have been together all those other times you could have intersected. I love that. But anyway, you guys have
Correct.
also worked together
Yes.
quite a few times, no? So how is it working together and how is it being in the same industry? Because I know for me, I feel like it would be good for me, but also I've never tried, so who knows?
Well, you
I'm
you
also
chose
already married, so it doesn't
finance.
matter, but I'm just
You
curious.
chose finance, which, love my husband, love what he does. I'm so proud of him, but we were both like, "What did we do?" Uh,
And well, that was me. I was like, I need someone with some stability because I don't know what I'm doing.
yeah, it's another thing I tell incoming freshmen or when people are interviewing the school, they're like, "Well, what are you gonna do to set us up for success after graduation?" And I'm just like, if you for I say, first of all, the second you step into the studio with us, you're already laying the groundwork because our faculty is second to none working industry professionals. But second of all, if you are looking for job security after graduation, this is not the path for you.
Nope.
So,
I
um,
mean, that's what I tell people all the time too. Like, you really got to love it. If you want to do this, you got to love it because there's no job security and typically not the best pay to perform. So you got to
no,
love it.
the likelihood of getting a return on your investment, I'm so grateful that I had the Wicked experience, but not everybody gets that. And especially
Yeah.
now, even the big shows, they're not going out the way that Wicked went out on tour. So there's just
Yeah.
it's it's a real
Should we
bummer,
talk
but you
about
gotta love
it?
it. I mean, we can, but did
Yes.
you want me to answer? Did you want
Wait,
me to talk about my husband first?
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Duh. See, I love that most people that I talk to out here, do we like all have the same brain? We're like, "Do-do-do-do-do," and then I'm like, oh wait, let's come back. Okay, we're back. Yeah, I do want to hear about your husband.
Talk about him. He's a delight. I love him so much. But um how is it working with him? It's honestly it's really great because he is so thoughtful and mindful in his direction and what he wants these characters to be. Even, you know, when we did Mamma Mia together, that was the first shot of the pandemic, and he did Mamma Mia in Las Vegas. He was Pepper before I knew him, and he has such a love for that show, and, you know, everyone's like, "Oh, Mamma Mia, Puff," and because of his leadership with it, he brought such heart to it that it was a really beautiful experience for everybody involved, and then it makes me better as a choreographer, you know, because the steps come from I mean, like I said, Chris taught me, like, the steps come from the story, but he's really just so compassionate as a human that I mean, we're getting ready to do SpongeBob, and he is like, "Now who is Plankton?" So cute. He's like
Let me get into the soul of plankton.
It's like, I don't want Plankton to be totally cringy. Who is Plankton?" And I'm like, "Babe, it's TYA." But that's what I love about him is that he just is so "Who's Plankton?"
Yeah. You guys and you can, like, complement each other nicely, which is also what a gift, though, because I do feel like in the arts or not in the arts, it's probably pretty rare to be able to work that closely with a spouse. I feel like a lot of people couldn't do it, which is special that you guys are able to do it in a space that not just gonna make a general statement that, like, sometimes men maybe have it a little bit easier than women when they're trying to perform sometimes. So,
Yes.
I feel like
Yes.
that's cool that you can, like, exist in that way.
Well, and, I was gonna say another thing that I just really appreciate about my husband is that he he is so, aware of that he insists that we always get billed as co-directors, and we're going to do A Christmas Story, this season as well, and I've said, "Babe, you direct it, I will choreograph it." And he's like, "No, I wanna be co-director." So I said, "I know you do, and I love that because you don't want to ever overtake credit, but you direct it, I will choreograph it." You know,
You're like, "I do just wanna choreograph." Yeah, I feel like that's what I wanna do.
I don't wanna say words, I just wanna do steps. But he's just he's so generous of spirit in that way that I'm very grateful that I have
Yeah,
a good human as my partner.
found a good one. Yeah,
I
very
did.
important, especially in this world that you're into of performing. Because don't we need the moral support?
Yes,
What it
literally.
what what made you guys end up moving to Chicago?
You know, we had both so like I said, I'd come to help the Chicago company of Wicked. He did Out of Town of All Shook Up out here, and he had been, I think he had done a couple tours through here, beforehand, and then we were here together on tour, and it's just a really cool city, and there were quite a few Chicago, people on our tour, and we knew we weren't really excited to go back to New York. After we got married, we put everything in storage and because we knew we were committing to tour for a while, and we're like, "Oh god, do we really wanna go back to New York? I don't know." We were both kind of done with it. Right before he left for tour, his mom passed away, so we were both kind of on the other end of that part of our journey in the city, and, a f a friend from dance competition days. This is literally the house that Wicked built. He was in the Wicked company as dance captain, and, he and his partner at the time wanted to sell the house and move to LA, and they put it up on Facebook, and they're like, "Who wants to buy our house?" And Justin and I thought, "Do we wanna go look at it?" And we bought our friend's house, and this is actually the house that Wicked built.
Oh, wow. What a full your whole life is full circle though, which is,
I
like,
know, there's so many
cool.
circles. No wonder I'm dizzy.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, so you guys are like, "Okay, meant to be." So, were you still doing tour you were still in your tour performing era when you moved to Chicago?
Yep. Yep. So
Okay,
we
cute.
both knew that Chicago had a very strong musical theater scene. And the people that were on tour with us were like, "Oh my god, you guys will work nonstop in Chicago." Not true, but they were they were so confident in us, which was very sweet. Um, and so we thought, "Well, let's do it." And we bought the house in 2013. Justin left the tour shortly after that, and then I stayed another 6 months on tour.
Okay. When you
Um,
left tour, were you planning on continuing to perform an audition, or were you already looking for, like, that next step in your career?
I was ready to stop. I was 34, I think, and, I mean, where do you go from there? You know, especially given
No, that's real, yeah.
my journey before I got the tour, um, and I kind of alluded to it. It was I am very grateful for my heritage. My mom was Filipino and my dad was white, and people don't believe me when I tell them I'm Filipino until I show them a picture or I say that, and they're like, "Oh, now I see." And when I moved to New York, I was too young for the stuff that I could dance, like Fosse, Chicago. I was too old for the other stuff, like Spring Awakening, which I couldn't sing it anyway. And I was never the right look, which is another reason why I'm so grateful to Wayne because he loves artists and he loves the way that just women just in their individual ways look. And I was often I was told, "You're not American looking enough for things." And I'm like, "But I'm born here. I don't understand." And, then I was told,
Like,
"But
what do
you're
you mean
not."
American?
Exactly. And I was told I wasn't I wasn't white enough, and I wasn't not white enough. So I really had a very difficult time booking work before I could even before I could even show them what a great dancer I was, and before I could even have an embarrassing singing audition.
I'm like you're like, "L don't you wanna hear my E flat? Okay, you wanna
No, they
hear
did
it."
not. They didn't know because they didn't know where I would fit in their jigsaw puzzle. Um,
Uh, do you
so
feel like you'll finish first, and then I have a question.
well, and so when I left tour, I was like, I can't go through that again. I can't navigate
Kinda hit
that
a
again.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like I can relate to that feeling of, like, is the mental worth the physical anymore on in a different way, but it I don't think people that aren't performers, like, understand even just aside from that your specific story, but even just auditioning on top of all of that, where it's like it's mentally mentally
Yeah.
so exhausting to keep having to, like, pushing through all the no's. I mean, we do it anyways, but do you think that especially now that you're more on the other side of things, do you feel like diversity in theater in the dance world is where it claims to be, or is it still maybe not quite where we need to get it?
I don't think it is there yet. I think that we did a really great job for, like, 2 years. We did a really great job for about 2 years, and then yeah. And then, I think we started to get, um I don't wanna say the word lazy, but I don't or complacent, but I think because there's less, because there's less money to do the thing, the casts sizes are getting smaller. And so you especially regionally, but even when I look at the Broadway casts that are coming out, it's it it's the minimum amount of human beings that they can use to create the sound that they need to create, as well as tell the story and have one person play 6 people,
Yep.
um, and call it featured ensemble. that they don't they have the job has to check so many boxes that you are losing out on an opportunity to have a variety of representation
People.
of people
Yeah.
because you need one person that can sing this high, can say these words, can dance these steps, can be 4 different ages, one person to do all of these things.
Literally, yeah, and you would have been perfect, I guess, because you were too old and too young. Now you would have been perfect because you could have done everything.
Dang it.
You're like born in the wrong era. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I hear that. Do you think that there's? I mean, I would say like, do you think there's a way to fix that? But obviously, a lot of it stems at funding, which I don't know. How much you're really involved in that, but I feel like it's such a thing of I feel like I see so many things about ticket prices going up and this and that. It's so expensive, but then it's like, well, where's their money going? Because I don't think they're hiring more people. I don't think they're paying people more. So it's that weird dichotomy.
Well, I think yeah, I mean, I don't know. We should ask your husband because he is the numbers guy, but I feel like we producers, and I don't mean this in a like, "You producers," or maybe I do, I don't know. I feel like they are very tentative to take a risk with their dollars because Americans in general are not, they're not into taking a risk with new material, right? Like, they wanna see the big flashy stuff, they don't wanna think. I'm generalizing because the people that
Of
do
course.
wanna think and the people that are interested in something new and creative, they can't afford a ticket, but the people that can afford a ticket are gonna pay $3,000 to see men run up and down a field, but they don't wanna
Don't get me
pay.
started on that.
Oh, my
I
husband
have such a
loves
bone to pick.
me too, and my husband loves sports ball, but, he's now joining my train. But, like, even in higher education, right? Like, the arts in higher education, I get paid $7 to do what I do. Meanwhile, there are college athletes. The athletes, the students are making more money than their teachers to play the sports ball.
I I I wish I, like, had more you're kind of inspiring me to, like, go down a rabbit hole later of, like because it is something and I don't mean it in a way to disrespect athletes at all because I
No,
totally, like, respect their work ethic, I respect what they do, but it's literally that part of, like, why is that the American culture? And I would also argue ignorantly because I could be really wrong, but I feel like in other countries, like not in America, it's almost the reverse where maybe there's like one sport that they love, but it feels like so many other countries are more like artistically, culturally with things. So I'm like, what happened to us?
yeah,
What happened to where because I'm like, yeah, I don't I don't enjoy okay. I like going to a sports game. Like, do I wanna watch it on TV? No, but I think also I'm kind of going on a rant now. I think also people don't put it together that like, "Oh, you're watching a movie?" That falls into, like, the arts category. Like, that's, like, creative direction and people will watch a movie, but then when it's live on stage and real people are doing it in real time, which is so impressive, it's somehow different. Like,
yeah,
I don't understand that either where I'm like, "Y'all watch movies all the time."
yeah, yeah. Yes, and
So,
as
I
much
don't
as I can't stand reality TV, there is a sense of not reality in that, and so somebody is being creative with the editing, so somebody is doing that, right? And I could go down another rabbit hole about AI. Do AI is not gonna do reality TV, or maybe they will, who knows? Maybe that's the $1,000,000 idea we need to invest in.
AI oh, the way I wish I could, like, understand any of it, I'm just trying to I'm like, "Chat GPT, what should I eat so my stomach doesn't hurt?" Like, that's the extent. I'm
Yes,
like, "I
and then
don't
I
get it."
think
But, like
yeah, and then I think, well, maybe I shouldn't be chat GPTing because these AI plants are gonna destroy the planet. I don't know. It's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle. But when we
But you
talk
know what's not
about
gonna I say what's not gonna destroy the planet is musical theater and
theater,
shows, like,
musical
in
theater.
theory, like, guys,
Yes.
let's anyways, I don't even know how we got on this conversation. Oh, it was just, like, budgeting and things. This is what happens on this show. We're just like, we'll see where it takes us, but okay, so we try diversity, we gotta fix it, we need some more money. If anyone listening to this knows things about funding and money or has someone in their life that knows about it, let us know. Let's start brainstorming. Let's figure it out. We'll get them on the
Figure
show.
it out.
But let's figure it out. But I do kind of want to talk about teaching and like higher education as well. So, how did you get into teaching at Roosevelt? And did you ever like think you wanted to be a college professor? How did that come to be?
I never thought I would be teaching in a college. And not because I thought negatively about it. I just didn't think it was part of the journey. Um, I ended up so when we moved here, Jane Lanier, of Fosse and Chorus Line fame, was helping to run the music theater dance focus that Morgan DeFonso um was
You love.
part of that class. I love her so much. I'm so proud of her. And Jane did summer stock with my husband a gazillion years ago. More circles. And when we moved
So many.
here, Justin connected with her. She said, and the school, the department was just Morgan's class when I first moved here.
Yes. Yeah.
And and then as I started adding more classes, she was the only dance teacher for them. And then she had somebody teaching tap. So as more classes started to come through, she's like, "Well, I need more teachers." And so she brought me in to teach jazz. She brought Tammy Mater, who is one of our generation's like Chicago creative theater icons right now. She came in to teach tap and she's now the current program director. And we just went from there and I was adjuncting and I was adjunct from 2015 until spring of 2020, the pandemic, and
Hmm.
the students wanted more diverse voices in their faculty and I was like, "Great. You can have you I
Here I
will go.
am.
I will step away."
Hello.
Well, I said I will step away. And so I was teaching at Columbia College of Chicago. And then I left Columbia College. And then Tammy was like, I need more teachers. Jane retired. That's how I came back. Jane retired. Tammy took over. And I came back as an adjunct. And they finally approved another full time dance teacher. So I just completed my second year full time.
Fun, man, you would
Yeah,
be such a fun college professor. Ugh,
I think
and
so.
this is kind like, not to my own horn.
You'll have to ask Morgan.
Well, we already know what Morgan said about you, so, I mean, that proof's in the pudding, but I kinda
Oh.
wanted to set up the scene a little bit, like a twofold question here, because I know you're very passionate about helping your students and artists just, like, sustainable long-term careers and sticking with it, which we kind of, like, hinted at, but I know you've faced a lot of rejection in that. What were some moments other than well, we already covered diversity, but what were the other moments of, like, "I might quit because this sucks and I can't do it," and, like, how did you get out of that so you could now teach it to your students?
Um, Other moments I think were just the knowing, um, I was going to all the dance calls, doing really well at the dance calls. I was working on my voice and, you know, but I lived with Shoshana Bean. Are you going to practice your voice if Shoshana Bean is living with you? Probably not.
I mean, I
Practice.
wouldn't even practice alone, let alone yeah, that is
She'd
you
come
have
home and she's so kind. I don't want people to be like, "Oh my gosh, Shoshana would have." No, not at all. But it was my own insecurity
what's
that I was
yes.
like, if Shoshana comes home while I'm skrelting this out, I'm going to be mortified. So, but that's also just an excuse. It's an excuse of me not having the confidence to really focus on it. So, I was just, I was really tired of being told no for the things that I knew I could fix, my voice, acting, whatever. That is hard to hear, but also I can do something with that. But the constant no of you're not the right look, you're not the right fit, you're not the right this, you're not the right that. I was just like, I have zero control over that. I don't know what to do. And I was really tired and I was really tired of being poor. So, um,
Well, like, I mean, yeah, it's I also try to tell people that too nowadays where I'm like, you gotta like find something else a little bit because you don't have control. And like whether it's fair or not is another story, but like that's just the reality of it, unfortunately. And it's like, how do you navigate that and not burn yourself out? Is there something that you see,
yeah.
like most common thing that you see your students or just like younger aspiring dancers do that is hurting them that you're like, hey, like maybe maybe stop doing that.
Yes. Yes, I
Like,
think
let me get going.
where's my receipt? No, I'm kidding. Um, I kinda talked about it, for a brief second in the beginning. They are so thoughtful, which is beautiful, but it's in their own way. Like, they want the answer, and they want the secret sauce right away, and their FOMO is exponentially different than what we had as would have been the equivalent of FOMO. Um, and I don't blame them for that. I blame society. I blame social media. I blame COVID for really just fucking them up completely. Um, and I think that we as adults overcorrected so much for them when they were younger of like the world is falling apart, but you're going to be okay and everything is wonderful and everybody gets this and it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fine. And now you tell them
Yeah.
no and they short circuit and they're just like, ah, I don't I don't
You're
know
like,
what to
what? Don't compute. Yeah.
I do not compute. No, like the spinning beach ball of death. And they get um they get so hard on themselves and lose the ability to understand it's a process. And I will say that my students this semester, I really try to focus on giving them the tools to be like, this is a process. I'm reprogramming you so that you can train in a sustainable way. And they did really beautiful work this semester. And I hope that they feel it and they see it because it's not a huge thing, but I can see it and I can see that they're stronger and they're ready for the next part,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, the social media thing is so real too of the comparison because it is easy to do it in class even. You can just be in a dance class and compare
Yes.
yourself, but then you add access to like everything and everyone that you can just swipe through and see. And it's such a highlight reel in general, which is like so much of why I started this podcast and like what I do is like people you don't see people's journeys, and I think especially as performers, we talked about this a little bit before we started recording too, of like, we're used to having to show up polished, ready, like, we don't you can't show weakness, you can't show you had an injury or you got rejected because you're afraid that that's gonna make you look a certain way and you're not gonna get work, and it's like people have to realize that the best people usually in the industry, like, they didn't just get handed all their
Mhm.
opportunities because usually the people that get handed things like fizzle out and burn out because they don't know how to like push past all of that
Yeah.
nonsense of
Yeah, for
the
sure.
world in that
Yep.
way. So I love that. I love that for you. You've done so much and have so much to offer so many people. If there is one key difference in a dancer, a performer that books work versus doesn't book work, other than talent and ability and skill, what would that be?
That was very smooth. Um, I tell my students, "Don't be boring." And I tell them when they're younger, and I tell them when they're older, and they all know I say, "What do I say?" And they go, "Don't be boring." I think that I think it's I think that it's that, right? Like, and it's you can be the best dancer from the neck down, but if you don't let your feelings about what you're doing in your guts come out of your eyeballs, and it's not choreographing facials because I think that that's another problem that um we need to eliminate that verbiage from anyone over the age of 12. It's not.
In fact, like, well, because there's a difference between, like, having a facial expression and, like, facials, because it's like you shouldn't be thinking about what your face is doing, you should be thinking about how you're feeling, and then it should be, like, subconscious, like, it just happens, right? You don't, like, think about smiling when you laugh, you just do it.
Yes, yes. And you can't choreograph it. I don't want you to choreograph vowels at me, right? Like we do for
Yes.
the 8-year-olds. Um and I think getting them to connect, because we were talking about it in class the other day of like, but I feel it in my guts. How do I get it out? And I said, well, that's part of this process, right? Is trusting yourself to let that happen. And that is what is going to make me want to work with you is how open, how playful, how joyful, how connected to it are you going to be while doing your pirouettes, right? But it's if you can do 42 pirouettes and nothing is happening, then I don't care. I really don't care.
Broadway for sure doesn't care. This is another good question I had. Do you have advice for someone hearing a lot of no's right now and how to keep going?
Mm. The no's no is not a bad word. We as women are taught no is a complete sentence, right? But it also doesn't mean it's the end all be all. And we can learn so much from that moment, whether it's, no, you don't look right. Okay, well, I have no control over that. Now I need to learn how to move to the next moment of my life. I need to learn how to release. No, you did not do the step as I asked. Okay, great. What am I missing? No, you aren't spotting your turns. Great. I can learn how to do that, right? So I think knowing that every no is a lesson to be learned rather than a bad word.
Yeah, the connotation is everything. And I love the concept of just because it's a no right now doesn't mean it's a no forever. And
Yeah.
like how do you turn that into a yes and like not make it so personal because it's not that deep. Oh my gosh. So many good things. Shanna, oh my god.
It's okay.
Why did I just have an accent? I said Shauna. Suddenly I'm British.
I love that. I'm gonna go
Is
watch Ted Lasso in a little bit.
um if you could give your younger self advice that she would need to hear today, what would it be?
Gosh. I thought about this question too because I know it was in the homework. Um, but also when we were supposed to do this 2 weeks ago, life was totally different. Um,
Your life, yeah, your life has had a full 180 since then, but
if I could if I could tell my younger self I would tell her a couple things. The first thing I would tell her is to find balance sooner. This is a very consuming industry and lifestyle. And there were a lot of moments where I sacrificed time with my family for that. And I I wish that I had not done that. Um I also think that I kept going to class, I kept doing the training, but if I had a student said this, do it scared. And if I had done it scared, I would have gone to acting classes. I would have been more um persistent with my voice training, but I was too scared to do it scared, so I would have done it scared. And the last thing I would tell her is it's not at all what you planned it to be when you walked down that aisle at graduation. It's not that, and that's okay. It's actually
Yeah.
much cooler.
I was gonna say probably, like, way better
Yeah.
anyways, because grass is always greener. What is one key takeaway that you would want whoever is listening this to take away from the episode and remember?
Well, don't be boring.
And don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. But the jesting aside, I think it's you never know who's going to show back up in your life, and you never know how that one little thing you did for a leotard is going to lead you eventually to your husband, right? Like, you never know. So always be kind, always lead with genuine, pure kindness and wonder, and and be, be confident so that you can really allow yourself to feel it rather than waiting for things to feel it for you.
Love, love, yay. Where can everyone go find you on socials or shows and to take your class for open class?
Well, for open class, I teach at Visceral Dance Center in Chicago. I teach on Fridays from 11:30 to 1. We had a very fun, very sweaty, swampy class today. Um,
I heard about it. I heard it was really hard.
did you really?
I did.
Oh. Yeah, it was a hard one
Mm.
today. It was super fun. It was so hard, like, I can't even record myself doing it anymore. I'm like, "You're young, do it."
You're like, I know this works. Figure it out, you guys.
Just go do that. And then I'm on Instagram at Shanna, SHANNAV dance. I don't do the tiki-taki. Uh,
I I pretend to do the TikTok. I pretend and I'm like, I don't understand.
no, I
I'm
guess
not
I
cool
could
enough.
have, but it's not in my universe right
I
now.
don't
And
think you're missing out on
I
that
don't
much. It's
Twitter,
okay.
twatter, whatever. I don't tweet.
Is that I don't think is it even a thing anymore? I
I
don't know
don't
if it
know.
is.
See, I don't
Is
even know.
I think it's X now. I think it's not called Twitter anymore.
Oh,
I
see,
think.
this is how I just aged myself. Yeah. So just look for
Yeah,
me on
but if it helps,
Instagram.
like,
That's
I
the
don't
only way.
yeah. You've there's
Or
one
a
route,
pigeon.
or just go or stalk her, or maybe you could reach out, maybe you guys could have a
Pen
pen
pal.
pal.
Pen pals.
Maybe.
There we go. There's another
Options are
circle.
limitless. We have to end there. That was too perfect. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here. You guys said this to
you.
someone that needs to hear it. Like, comment, subscribe, all of the things. Go follow Shanna, and we'll kick it with you next time.